San Francisco, at Seattle. Seattle's a 3-point dog on the road. It's a Thursday night game. Like, which is our overriding trend here? Are we going with like the home dog in the division? Are we going with the Thursday night football favorite? I will say, like, these are two teams, the only two teams that lost outright when they were the 7-point or better favorite on Sunday. Um, are the questions I have from Sunday night are still irrelevant. Are we worried about the Niners, who have looked great, but are also 2-3 and in third place in their division because the Cardinals are 2-3 and they beat the Niners? So it's strange because the Niners are still like a top-rated football team, right? According to PFF, they're number one in offense, number one passing offense, number three receiving, number two run blocking, top six in defense. Like, the Seattle team is good in a lot of respects and rated highly, but they're not as good top to bottom as the Niners. The Niners, I feel like, have had really bad luck, especially the past two games.
Yeah, but this is why we love betting football. We talk all the time about this. Doesn't matter if you're the best team, you need a lot of things to bounce your way, and it's all about how you compete at the very end of the games. It's like, that's why if you're a Cowboys fan, I'd be on top of the world. They were dead to right, and Dak had an incredible drive against number one defense to win that game. Same can be said about the 49ers, right? They blew a game against the Rams, and what you want to say against an Arizona team, they definitely blew that game. It's like they had a big lead, and they kind of fell apart. So right now, this team, I feel like they're better than the Seahawks. The Seahawks, as well as Geno's played overall, their defense, it looked like, we gave a little bit too much credit for them early on because they were beating up on bad teams, right? Like once they started playing good offenses in Detroit, and I mean, I don't know if I'm saying the Giants are that good of an offense, but they're pretty good. So it's like overall,
Dayball is scheming right now.
yeah.
Like, he gets some credit for that.
And don't we feel the same way about Kyle Shanahan? Like you just read all those numbers, so it's like I wanted to be on the Seahawks because Chad just talked about the line was 3, moved up to 3.5. It's like, okay, there's a little bit of value there in the Seahawks, but then when you really dive into it, is there really value here, or just have the 49ers been unlucky in the end of games and they've kind of fallen apart at the end of these games for different reasons, right? And at the end of the day, the biggest reason to me is McCaffrey. This guy averaged a touchdown a game last year. Like, you take the best running back out of that offense. Yes, the guy who's come in, the undrafted free agent Mason's played well, but there's a difference. There is that closing these games out, you can see a noticeable difference in McCaffrey getting 10 touches on the final carry of the game to Mason, right? Even that fumble he had against Arizona kind of flipped that game. So I'm trying to figure out why. Like, you're right. Why has this not been the same for this 49ers team, even though they've been so dominant offensively? It has to be the McCaffrey factor. There's no other answer to it. It's like that's the biggest difference from last year to this year. On offense, to close out games, they do not have the best running back in football. So in this matchup, once again, I think the value is on them. I have this line at 4. So it's not that much value, but as of right now, I'm on the 49ers with the general public. But I mean, you talk all the time, Chad. I usually like taking the favorites on these Thursday night games, but it's tough because this number, it's like, man, that's a lot of points to be given up to
Yeah.
a 49ers team that keeps getting backdoored in a lot of these games. So, yeah, definitely a number I'm torn on, but I end up betting on this 49ers here.
The Christian McCaffrey factor is interesting because the Niners are winning at the end of these games, and I actually didn't think about it until you just framed it the way you did. His ability to be a dependable, consistent time swallower and gain positive yardage and get him closer to the end zone, or by the way, break one open to put a cap on the cover and the win. Those have been the differences, right? The end of the game against the Cardinals, they couldn't close it out because of a fumble. The end of the game against the Rams, they couldn't close it out because they couldn't convert. They've had flukish things, freakish things, not having Jake Moody that clearly impacted their ability to score in the red zone and make decisions in the red zone about what they were going to do. The Cardinals knew what they were going to do. That impacted it. It's still, to me, one of the better teams in the NFC, even if
Yeah,
they're
like
two
you'd
and
bet them
three.
right now to win this division
Yeah,
still, right?
yeah. Like
I
now's a
would.
good time to bet them.